Welcome to the Emergency Vehicle Driver Training Program, the hands-on portion. The purpose of this presentation is threefold. First, to describe those items needed to set up and operate the competency course. Second, to illustrate the layout of the competency course, both the individual stations as well as the overall course. And finally, to demonstrate the operation of the competency course in a safe and effective manner. It should be remembered that the competency course as illustrated in this program is just one of 4 parts of a comprehensive driver training program, with the other 3 being classroom instruction, testing, and driving on the street. There are a number of items required for setting up the driver training competency course. As illustrated, the best arrangement is to have an area which is paved, level, and clear of any obstructions, which measures 300 feet by 300 feet in size. Optional layouts are shown in the appendix of the instructor's manual. The tools required for setting up the course include approximately 120 traffic cones. If possible, 100 should be red or orange in color and 20 yellow or another contrasting color. If absolutely necessary, the course can be constructed with a minimum of 80 cones. Other equipment needed includes a sufficient number of score sheets and clipboard, a stopwatch, at least 3 reflective vests, 1 for the individual serving as the safety officer, and 1 for each of the station spotters, a 20 or 25-foot tape measure for measuring the vehicles, a measuring wheel or 100-foot tape to lay out the course, and several pieces of surveyor's chalk for marking the location of the traffic cones, as well as several specific measurements at certain stations. Finally, laying out the course is made easier if a 200-foot ball of string is used. 2 individuals can lay out the competency course in about 45 minutes. For operating the course, a minimum of 2 spotters is recommended in addition to the individual functioning as the course safety officer. The optimal arrangement is 1 spotter for each 2 stations for a total of 4 spotters, in addition to the course safety officer. No other individual should be allowed on the course while it is being used. The safety officer should review all safety issues with all participants prior to any vehicles starting the course. Once the overall layout has been determined, each individual station should be measured and the cones placed. Typically, the first and last cones along each line are located, and then a string stretched between them for aligning the intermediate cones. Because many of the key dimensions are measured to inches, such as 8 feet 2 inches or 8 feet 6 inches, each of the dimensions should be exact and double-checked. Care should also be exercised to ensure that the measurements are from either the edge of the cone to the edge of the cone, or from the center of cone to center of cone as indicated for each station. Intermediate cones are usually set 20 feet apart. If the number of cones is limited, the distance between the intermediate cones can be lengthened up to 25 feet, and if absolutely necessary, 30 feet. Cones marking entrances and exits can be noted by using cones which are of a contrasting color. The instructor should greet each driver as he or she is ready to begin traveling the course. At the meeting, the instructor should make every effort to reassure the driver, emphasize the importance of safety, and verify that the driver knows the route to follow on the course. At this time, the instructor should also have the wheelbase and overall length of the vehicle measured and entered on the score sheet. Remember, the wheelbase is measured from the center or hub of the front wheel to the center of the rear wheel, or in the case of a vehicle with tandem rear axles, the midpoint between the 2 tandem axles. The driver is now ready to begin the course. The competency course is comprised of 8 individual station exercises. Station number 1 is the straight line. Station number 2 is the confined space turnaround. Station number 3 is the alley dock. Station number 4 is the serpentine. Station number 5 is the offset alley. Station number 6 is the parallel park. Station number 7 is the diminishing clearance. Station number 8, the vehicle stop. Let's begin with station number 1, the straight line. The straight line is typically the first station on the competency course. As illustrated on the diagram, the straight line station is 8 feet 6 inches wide, measured inside edge of cone to inside edge of cone, by 200 feet in length. If space is critical, the length of the station can be shortened to 150 or even 100 feet, although 200 feet is the preferred length. Yellow or double cones denote the entrance to the station, and intermediate cones along each side should be spaced about 20 feet apart. If the number of cones is limited, the distance between the intermediate cones can be increased to 25 feet. The straight line station provides the emergency vehicle driver an opportunity to become familiar with operating the vehicle within a restricted line in both a forward and reverse direction. Learning concepts which are reinforced include minor steering adjustments, the use of mirrors, and confidence in traversing the vehicle through a restricted area. To successfully traverse this station, the driver must hug the left side very tightly. A constant speed which is not too fast is most effective. The most common problems are speed fluctuations and erratic steering movements, especially while backing. Station number 2 is the confined space turnaround. Setting up this station requires an area 50 feet wide and approximately 100 feet long, with the width being the critical dimension. Quite often, one side of the exercise is placed directly against the straight line station, thereby reducing the number of cones required. A centrally located entrance of about 20 feet is defined by double cones, with all intermediate cones along both sides and the end of the area set at 20 or 25-foot intervals. When traversing the station, it should be emphasized that it does not require that the 180-degree turnaround be made as a three-point turn. In fact, with some of the larger vehicles, it may require up to 6 or more evolutions to reverse direction within the confined space. The purpose of this exercise is to allow the driver to learn about the turning radius of the vehicle, as well as interpreting depth perception for the placement of the rear of the vehicle as seen through the vehicle's mirrors. Station number 3 is the alley dock. One of the easiest locations for setting up the station is along the side of the entrance to the confined space turnaround. This allows the driver traversing the course to leave the confined space station, pull past the alley dock station so as to be in a position to back into the alley dock. The width of this exercise is exactly 10 feet, inside of cone to inside of cone, with the depth of the area being 30 feet. The chalk should be used to mark 6 inches, 12 inches, and 18-inch intervals as shown. The purpose for this station is to have the emergency vehicle driver become familiar with backing the vehicle into a restricted area and stopping within a specified distance of a fixed location. Backing into the station and stopping more than 6 inches from the edge of the cones or extending the rear of the vehicle past their edge will result in penalty points being added to the driver's score in accordance with the scoring schedule. Station number 4 is the serpentine. Setting up the serpentine station requires an area which is 50 feet wide by 200 feet long. It is within the center of this overall area that the serpentine is set up with 4 cones located 34 feet apart, measured center to center. This distance is used for vehicles such as ambulances and rescues with a wheelbase of less than 170 inches. For larger vehicles with a wheelbase of 170 inches or more, the 34-foot measurement is increased to 40 feet. The ideal location for the exit to the serpentine is along the side of the station as shown. However, it can be moved to an alternative location depending upon the area where the station is set up. Upon entering the station, the vehicle should be driven down the right side of the serpentine. Upon passing the third cone, the vehicle should be cocked at a slight angle so as to position the rear of the vehicle between the third and fourth cones. The driver should then back the vehicle between them, passing to the left of the third cone, then to the right of the second cone, again to the left of the first cone, and back through the entrance. After backing through and stopping at the entrance, the driver should travel the serpentine in a forward position. The vehicle should pass to the right of the first cone, left of the second cone, right of the third cone, then out the exit of the station. The purpose of the serpentine station is to familiarize the driver with the location of the corners of the vehicle for maneuverability purposes, to familiarize the driver with the turning radius of the vehicle while going both forward and while backing, and to require the driver to utilize both mirrors of the vehicle during one continuous exercise and increase the driver's confidence in the use of mirrors for vehicle maneuvering. The most common mistake is for the driver to start backing through the serpentine too sharply and thereby not be able to make the necessary turn in time to pass by the next cone in line. Station number 5 is the offset alley. In setting up this station, it should be emphasized that the distance between the alleys, which is 48 feet for engines and 52 feet for aerials, must be measured carefully, edge of cone to edge of cone. It will be necessary for the station spotter to adjust this difference for each type of vehicle. An extended front bumper or other projections of the vehicle should not extend outside the alleys. In other words, treat the alley edges as if they are building walls or parked vehicles. When traversing the station, the driver should proceed forward through the first alley, exit it, change the track of the vehicle, and enter the second alley without rubbing or knocking over any of the cones. Typical problems are beginning to change the track of the vehicle too quickly or not straightening out the vehicle's track while entering the second alley. The purpose of the station is to familiarize the driver with the front right and left rear tire tracks, depth perception as viewed through the mirrors, and the turning track of the vehicle. Station number 6 is the parallel park. Setting up the parallel park exercise requires that the station be adjusted for the specific emergency vehicle which is traveling the course. The length of the parking space should be adjusted to equal the length of the vehicle plus 8 feet. As an example, if the vehicle is 28 feet, the space should be 28 feet plus 8 feet for a total of 36 feet. The depth of the parking space should measure 8 feet with the distance of 12 inches from the curb marked. The procedure for undertaking this station is for the driver to pull the emergency vehicle past the parking space and then proceed to parallel park the vehicle in the space with the right side of the vehicle being placed within 12 inches of the curb. The objectives of this station are to familiarize the driver with the location and placement of the right front of the vehicle, the turning radius of the vehicle, and the use of the vehicle's mirrors to locate the right side of the vehicle. Crossing over the curb, stopping more than 12 inches from the curb, or knocking down cones in front of or behind the parking space will result in penalty points being added to the driver's score in accordance with the scoring schedule. Station number 7 is the diminishing clearance. 100 feet in length, the entrance to the station is 9 feet 6 inches wide, inside edge of cone to inside edge of cone, with the conclusion of the exercise measuring 8 feet 2 inches, inside edge of cone to inside edge of cone. Extreme care should be made in measuring the width of the station due to the very close tolerances in which the vehicles will travel the station. All vehicles can travel the station without touching any of the cones, although the clearance is very minimal. The purpose of this exercise is for the driver to maneuver the vehicle through the station without brushing or knocking down any cones. It is designed to familiarize the driver with the necessary clearances, with two of the most common mistakes being speed fluctuations while traversing the exercise and misaligning the vehicle's track upon entrance to the station. Station number 8 is the vehicle stop. Approximately 40 to 60 feet beyond the end of the diminishing clearance station, two cones should be set parallel to each other and in the line of travel of the vehicle on the course. Marks at 6, 12, and 18 inches from the cone should be made as illustrated. The objective is to bring the vehicle to a stop with the front bumper not more than 6 inches from the edge of the cones while not extending past their edge. The purpose of the station is to familiarize the driver with placing the front extension of their vehicle and learning to judge its placement. Stopping more than 6 inches from the edge of the cones or extending the front of the vehicle past their edge will result in penalty points being added to the driver's score in accordance with the scoring schedule. The vehicle stop, which is the 8th station, completes the competency course. Let's review. The competency course begins with a straight line which introduces the driver to the course and requires him or her to back up using the mirrors of the vehicle. The confined space turnaround provides the driver with an opportunity to become familiar with the turning radius of the vehicle. The alley dock requires the driver to recognize depth perception through the mirrors while backing. The serpentine continues the familiarization of the vehicle's turning radius and combines the use of mirrors while backing. The offset alley introduces depth perception recognition on both sides and at both the front and rear of the vehicle. The parallel park introduces right side positioning to the driver. The diminishing clearance station requires the driver to maneuver the vehicle through an extremely tight space. Finally, the vehicle stop requires the driver to utilize depth perception to determine the location of the front of the vehicle with respect to a fixed position. Remember, scoring is based on accuracy with either 1 or 3 points charged whenever a cone is bumped or knocked over. Other points will be assigned if a portion of the vehicle projects outside of a station or if the vehicle is stopped too far from a specific mark. The entire course must be traveled at a steady pace in order to complete it in the designated maximum time depending upon the type of vehicle being driven over the course. The shortest time for completing the course will be specified for vehicles with a wheelbase of less than 170 inches. An intermediate time will be designated for vehicles with a wheelbase between 170 and 220 inches, and the longest time for large vehicles such as tandem axle aerials with a wheelbase of over 220 inches. Copies of the program entitled Emergency Vehicle Driver Training Program, of which this video is a component, can be obtained through your local VFIS representative or by writing VFIS at P.O. Box 2726, York, Pennsylvania 17405. Attention Client Education and Training Services. Or by calling 1-800-233-1957. Welcome to the VFIS Emergency Vehicle Driver Training Course. This part of the video will consist of an actual real-time course run-through. The objective is to show drivers each station and to illustrate the correct transition from one station to the next. For the purpose of demonstration, time is not a factor. As shown, a typical course setup consists of all 8 station exercises being placed in an area 300 feet by 300 feet. The station should be aligned as shown. Space limitations or other conditions may require that the course setup be modified. In this case, consult your instructor's manual for other options. Station number 1 is the straight line. Station number 2 is the confined space turnaround. Station number 3 is the alley dock. Station number 4 is the serpentine. Station number 5 is the offset alley. Station number 6 is the parallel park. Station number 7 is the diminishing clearance. Station number 8 is the vehicle stop.